I never thought my life would turn into some kind of neighborhood drama straight out of a movie. But here we are, sitting in my old porch swing in Willow Creek, Texas, looking back on that mess with the HOA and my so-called friends down the street. It all started when I moved into this quiet little suburb 5 years ago, thinking I'd finally found a place to put down roots after losing my job in the city. I poured every penny into this house, fixed it up with my own hands, and started helping folks around here because, well, that's just who I am, always the guy with the open door, the extra tools, the shoulder to lean on. But damn, if that didn't bite me hard when old man Harlan, the HOA president with his iron fist and that smug grin, decided my kindness was his ticket to pushing me around, all because he had his eyes on expanding his backyard empire right into my property line. See, Harlan wasn't just some grumpy neighbor, was the kingpin of Willow Creek Estates, the kind of guy who'd inherited his dad's real estate hustle and turned the HOA into his personal playground, manipulating rules to favor his cronies and squeeze out anyone who didn't kiss the ring. We'd clashed before over petty stuff, like my vegetable garden violating aesthetics, but it escalated when he found out about the old easement on my land that could let him reroute a community path straight through my backyard, giving him access to a prime lot he'd been eyeing for his son's fancy new build. I didn't know it then, but his grudge ran deeper. Turns out, years back, my late uncle had outbid him on a deal, and Harlan never forgave that petty jealousy mixed with that power trip of controlling the neighborhood like his own fiefdom. So one evening, as the sun dipped low and crickets started chirping, he shows up at my door with that fake charm, saying, "Tom, buddy, you've got such a big heart. Always helping out, why not sign off on this little change? It'll benefit everyone. Community spirit and all." I hesitated, feeling that gut twist, but my golden heart, as my grandma used to call it, one that kept me forgiving, kept me warm even after scars won out, and I nodded, thinking, what's the harm in trusting a neighbor? Man, that was my first mistake, letting him in close like that, because betrayal doesn't come from strangers, it sneaks up from the folks you let sit at your table, just like that story in the Bible about Jesus and Judas. Harlan twisted my words at the next HOA meeting, claiming I'd volunteered my land for the greater good, and suddenly, half the block was clapping for him, not realizing he was lining his pockets while painting me as the selfish holdout. I remember storming into that packed community hall, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, sweat beading on my forehead as I faced him down. "Harlan, you snake. I never agreed to give up my backyard. That's my kids' play area, my wife's garden. How dare you twist this for your gain?" He leaned back in his chair, that mousy secretary of his scribbling notes, and shot back with a sneer. "Oh, Tom, always the drama queen with your heart of gold. If you cared about the community, you'd stop whining and sign the damn papers, or maybe we'll just vote you out. Fines piling up till you can't afford to stay." The room went silent, folks shifting in their seats, some nodding along because Harlan had dirt on them too, others avoiding my eyes like I was the problem. It cut deep, that wound from misplaced trust, because I'd helped these people fix Mrs. Ellis's roof after the storm, drove Harlan's own wife to the doctor when she twisted her ankle, and now they were turning cold, exploiting my patience like it was weakness. But here's where it gets real. That inner storm brewing as I drove home that night, radio off, just the hum of the engine and my thoughts racing. Why do I keep forgiving, when it leaves me scarred like this? I pulled over by the old oak tree at the edge of town, the one where I'd scattered my grandma's ashes, and sat there staring at the stars, feeling that rare purity in my heart flickering, threatened by bitterness. Grandma always said my heart was different, shining even after hurt, but now it felt like a target, the enemy, or whatever you call that dark pull, fighting hard to break it, because a loving heart shifts things, silences the noise, breaks chains that power can't touch. I cracked open my Bible in the glove compartment, flipping to Proverbs 19 verse 22, where it says what a person desires is unfailing love. Better to be poor than a liar, and it hit me. This love inside me wasn't naivety. It was strength, a divine strategy, like how God sent Jesus not with armies, but with love to change the world. Harlan saw my compassion as something to exploit, but damn if that didn't make me realize I couldn't let the wrong people mishandle this treasure. I had to guard it, set boundaries, because not everyone clapping was for me. The next few weeks blurred into this quiet battle, me digging through old records at the county office, piecing together how Harlan had bent rules before, manipulating easements to grab land from folks like old Mr. Ramirez down the block, who ended up moving away broke and bitter. I confided in my buddy Jake, the mechanic across town who'd grown up with Mesolid Guy. Always had my back, and he said, "Tom, you've got that golden heart, man, but don't let it blind you. Pray for discernment, like in James 1 verse 5. Ask God to show you who's real." We sat in his garage one rainy afternoon, tools clinking around us, and he helped me map out a plan, not revenge, but justice, because my heart wasn't about hatred. It was about restoring light where shadows crept. I started filtering who I let in, not shutting down, but being wise, like Matthew 7 verse 6 warns, "Don't throw pearls to pigs, or they'll trample them and turn on you." And sure enough, as I prayed that night on my knees in the living room, kids asleep upstairs, I felt this clarity wash over me, like God was saying, "Protect what I gave you. Tom, your heart's your crown. Don't let it get crushed." Then came the turnaround, that unexpected counterpunch that flipped the script. I found an old email chain buried in the HOA archives, proving Harlan had forged signatures on past deals, including one that tied back to his son's shady construction company. Heart pounding, I confronted him privately first, pulling up in his driveway at dusk, the air thick with tension as lightning bugs flickered around us. "Harlan," I said, voice steady but edged, "I know about the forgeries, Ramirez, the easement scams. You think my kindness means